So in this next clip, I think this is the most frank expression of complete thought disorder that we've ever seen in Donald Trump.
Yeah, we have to talk about this one.
We really have to talk about this one. I know we sort of show these reels where he's kind of incomprehensible and we make fun of them and we move on. This is a moment of unimpeachable, frank, complete thought disorder. Let's look at this clip. You may have heard it before, but let's look at it again.
Then all of a sudden you hear that they're leaving Milwaukee or they're leaving wherever they may be located. It's very sad to see it. And it's so simple. I mean, this isn't like Elon with his rocket ships that land within 12 inches on the moon where they wanted to land. Or he gets the engines back. That was the first I realized. I said, who the hell did that? I saw engines about 3-4 years ago. These things were coming, cylinders, no wings, no nothing. And they're coming down very slowly, landing on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace with a circle. Boom. Reminded me of the Biden circles that he used to have, right? He'd have 8 circles and he couldn't fill them up. But then I heard he beat us with the popular vote. I don't know. Couldn't fill up the 8 circles. I always loved those circles. They were so beautiful. They were so beautiful to look at. In fact, the person that did them, that was the best thing about the level of that circle was great. But they couldn't get people, so they used to have the press stand in those circles because they couldn't get the people. Then I heard we lost. Oh, we lost. No, we're never going to let that happen again. But we've been abused by other countries. We've been abused by our own politicians, really more than other countries.
See, Harry, even here, if I try to fill in all the gaps, right, to make it make some kind of sense, I can't. There's no way to make sense of this thing about the circles.
And people have asked. They've actually asked. No one can come up with an explanation for what he's talking about. Now, listen, we've talked for a long time on this show that Americans are fascinated by mental illness. They have shows about serial killers, and we love all these diagnoses that are fads, but we have very little understanding as a culture about what mental illness really is. So my students will sometimes refer to their friends as being psychotic, by which they mean strange or anxious or nervous or something like that. Psychosis, psychotic thinking, is when someone cannot distinguish internal reality from external reality. So someone, for example, suffering from schizophrenia may hear voices in her head and won't realize that the voices in her head are not real, but that are simply thoughts. And so there's no difference between internal and external reality. When people suffer from severe dementia, they begin to exhibit psychotic thinking. That is, they begin to talk in ways that suggest that they don't know the difference between what's inside and outside. This is the first time I've seen Trump demonstrate psychotic thinking. It's a thought disorder which is blatant. I've watched this about 10 times, and it's so disturbing. And again, it evokes sympathy that I have for him, even though I consider him to be one of the most dangerous people on the planet right now. But to become undone like that, and notice how he recovers by talking about persecution after the 8 circles. Mm-hmm. We've never seen anything like it. So he recovers, but where is the awareness that he's psychotic?
And if anybody spent time with psychotic people, as we had to do in our training, hasn't been the bread and butter of either our practices. There's that quality of when they're really most regressed or the illness is really advanced, where you really can't make head or tails of what they're talking about. You just can't.
And the intervention with a patient like that is, I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Can you start again? Because you want to see if you can help them build a sequence of relatable sentences. No one's stopping him. No one is confronting him.
Yeah. I remember saying when we started this 6 months ago, I remember thinking, what's it going to take? Right? What's it going to take? If he babbles incomprehensibly, is that what it's going to take? Well, actually, that's not enough. If he actually becomes so disturbed that he can't use language at all. That wasn't enough. The opposite of Dayenu, it was enough. No, it wasn't enough. Not Dayenu. I mean, I think if he came out with a tinfoil hat on his head, okay, and said this is to block the Democrats from beaming thoughts into his head, I think his followers would start wearing tinfoil hats. He would start selling them. He would do an ad. I'm selling this protector because so many people wanted it to protect. He'd do an infomercial selling his tinfoil hat, and no one would say anything about it.
No. As Johnny Carson once said to Ed McMahon, you'd go out there and sell shade. You'd sell, Trump will sell anything. But listen, his followers, that 35%, really, he could do anything. But what we were alarmed about was the absence of media response, the absence of the political elite responding, and the absence of independent voters and moderate voters going along with this guy. And I do think the tide is finally shifting.
Yep. I think their circles are empty. Whatever that means. I don't know.
Those beautiful Biden circles.
That's right. I always love the 8 circles, though. The 8 circles.
There are 8 circles.
Yeah.
The Olympics?
No. I was going to say the Olympics. That's the only thing. But
you see, we're doing that thing. We're trying to provide rationality. Saying it's not rational. It's not rational. It's idiosyncratic.
We're trying to make sense of it, but we can't. We can't put Humpty Dumpty's thoughts back together again.
Nobody can.
Nobody can. And that's the point.